I now continue my reading of Pope Benedict XVI's encyclical letter entitled Caritas in Veritate, which is to say, integral human development in charity and truth. I begin at number 6. So, number 6. Caritas in Veritate is the principle around which the Church's social doctrine turns, a principle that takes on practical form in the criteria that govern human action. I would like to consider 2 of these in particular, of special relevance to the commitment to development in an increasingly globalized society: justice and the common good. First of all, justice. Ubi societas, ibi jus. Every society draws up its own system of justice. Charity goes beyond justice because to love is to give, to offer what is mine to the other. But it never lacks justice, which prompts us to give the other what is his, what is due to him by reason of his being or his acting. I cannot give what is mine to the other without first giving him what pertains to him in justice. If we love others with charity, then first of all we are just towards them. Not only is justice not extraneous to charity, not only is it not an alternative or parallel path to charity, justice is inseparable from charity and intrinsic to it. Justice is the primary way of charity, or in Pope Paul VI's words, it is the minimum measure of it, an integral path, or rather an integral part of the love in deed and in truth, to which St. John exhorts us in his first letter, chapter 3, verse 18. On the one hand, charity demands justice, recognition and respect for the legitimate rights of individuals and peoples. It strives to build the earthly city according to law and justice. On the other hand, charity transcends justice and completes it in the logic of giving and forgiving. The earthly city is promoted not merely by relationships of rights and duties, but to an even greater and more fundamental extent by relationships of gratuitousness, mercy, and communion. Charity always manifests God's love in human relationships as well. It gives theological and salvific value to all commitment for justice in the world. Number 7. Another important consideration is the common good. To love someone is to desire that person's good and to take effective steps to secure it. Besides the good of the individual, there is a good that is linked to living in society, the common good. It is the good of all of us, made up of individuals, families, and intermediate groups who together constitute society. It is a good that is sought not for its own sake, but for the people who belong to the social community, and who can only really and effectively pursue their good within it. To desire the common good and strive towards it is a requirement of justice and charity. To take a stand for the common good is on the one hand to be solicitous for, and on the other hand to avail oneself of, that complex of institutions that give structure to the life of society, juridically, civilly, politically, and culturally, making it a polis, the city. The more we strive to secure a common good corresponding to the real needs of our neighbours, the more effectively we love them. Every Christian is called to practice this in charity, in a manner corresponding to his vocation and according to the degree of influence he wields in the polis, the city. This is the institutional path, we might also call it the political path of charity, no less excellent and effective than the kind of charity which encounters the neighbour directly, outside the institutional mediation of the polis, the city. When animated by charity, commitment to the common good has greater worth than a merely secular or political stand would have. Like all commitment to justice, it has a place within the testimony of divine charity that paves the way for eternity through temporal action. Man's earthly activity, when inspired and sustained by charity, contributes to the building of the universal city of God, which is the goal of the history of the human family. In an increasingly globalized society, the common good and the effort to obtain it cannot fail to assume the dimensions of the whole human family, that is to say, the community of peoples and nations, in such a way as to shape the earthly city in unity and peace, rendering it, to some degree, an anticipation and a prefiguration of the undivided city of God. Number 8. In 1967, when he issued the Encyclical Populorum Progressio, my venerable predecessor, Pope Paul VI, illuminated the great theme of the development of peoples with the splendor of truth and the gentle light of Christ's charity. He taught that life in Christ is the first and principal factor of development, and he entrusted us with the task of travelling the path of development with all our heart and all our intelligence, that is to say, with the ardour of charity and the wisdom of truth. It is the primordial truth of God's love, grace bestowed upon us, that opens our lives to gift and makes it possible to hope for a development of the whole man and of all men, to hope for progress from less human conditions to those which are more human, obtained by overcoming the difficulties that are inevitably encountered along the way. At a distance of over 40 years from the Encyclical's publication, I intend to pay tribute and to honour the memory of the great Pope Paul VI, revisiting his teachings on integral human development and taking my place within the path they marked out, so as to apply them to the present moment. This continual application to contemporary circumstances began with the encyclical Solicitudo Rei Socialis, with which the servant of God, Pope John Paul II, chose to mark the 20th anniversary of the publication of Pope Paul VI's Encyclical Populorum Progressio. Until that time, only Rerum Novarum had been commemorated in this way. Now that a further 20 years have passed, I express my conviction that Populorum Progressio deserves to be considered the Rerum Novarum of the present age, shedding light upon humanity's journey towards unity.